to respond to the proposals made by ATC on the amendment to the Anti-Terrorism Act. As you know, it's been subject of debates, and we would like to take part in the discussion po. So we'll take opportunity, sir. We have the same objective, but we hope that everything's done within the rule of law.
Yes, yun talaga. Otherwise, kung hindi naman i-hear yung side ninyo, pagdating na naman doon, maki-question naman ang constitutionality ng mga proposed amendments natin. So siguruhin talaga natin na it conforms to the provisions of the Constitution. Sige lang, ma'am. We will, pag magkakaroon din ng technical working committee, COMSEC, please include the CHR in the crafting the amendment. Sige, ma'am. Maasahan po ninyo. Thank you. Sino yung nagsabi kanina na Eupemia Kulyamat? May nagsabi. Dato. Nasabi nyo ang pangalan ni Eupemia Kulyamat na miyembro ng bayan at bayan muna. Sinasabi nyo ba na CPP, NPNDF ang bayan at bayan muna?
Oo, kasi ang kasama kami nung una, kami kapag yung may mga engagement, kami ang magkasama kami nila.
So klaro na kuan sila. Front organization ng CPP, NPNDF.
Opo.
Thank you for that confirmation. Sino-sino pa ang nasa likod itong bayan at bayan muna? Aside from Kulyamat.
Kalimutan ko na yung iba kasi ako yung si Kirlan Panagil lang yung aking kasama at saka si Rios.
Sige, thank you ha. Salamat, Dato. Meron pa bang hindi nakapagsalita? You want to say something? Sir, yes, go ahead. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Senator De La Rosa. Mr. Chair, I am Associate Solicitor James Clifford Santos from the Office of the Solicitor General. And I am also the designated spokesperson of the Legal Cooperation Cluster of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or the NTF-LCAC. Just some 4 points, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, on my observations of the various legal issues that were raised. First, the issue of academic freedom vis-a-vis police power of the state. Second, also the issue of red tagging, because na-mention din po ng ilang beses dito. Third would be the challenges to prosecution of radicalization and recruitment within the context of HEIs, or higher educational institutions. And lastly, possible proposals to the legal remedy that this honorable committee is proposing. On the issue of academic freedom, well, ano po ba talaga ang academic freedom? The recent case of Son versus University of Santo Tomas, the Supreme Court defined, maganda po yung sinabi ng Supreme Court dito, the institutional academic freedom includes the right of the school or college to decide for itself its aims and objectives and how best to attain them, free from outside coercion or interference, save possibly when the overriding public welfare calls for some restraint. Indeed, the Constitution allows merely the state's regulation and supervision of educational institutions and not the deprivation of their rights. And ni-reiterate po ng Korte Suprema yung 4 parameters sa educational, sa academic freedom. First, who may teach? Sino ang pwedeng magturo? Number 2, what may be taught? Ano ang pwedeng ituro? 3, how it shall be taught? Papaano ituturo? And number 4, who may be admitted to study? However, dissecting the doctrine enunciated here in Son versus UST, masasabi po natin that the academic freedom is not absolute but must give way to reasonable state regulation. And I quote the case of Pimentel versus LEB, a 2021 en banc case, meaning to say it was decided by the 15 justices of the Supreme Court. And maganda po yung sinabi dito. Academic freedom is not the trump card that annihilates the exercise of police power. Academic freedom is not absolute with its optimum impact, best realized where the freedom is exercised judiciously and does not degenerate into an unbridled license. Indeed, it is a privilege that assumes a correlative duty to exercise it responsibly. It is thus difficult to accept that the state has no right to participate or be involved in the education It is thus difficult to accept that the state has no right to participate or be involved in the education the academic institutions of higher learnings provide. On the contrary, it would be an abandonment of duty on the part of the state if it does not supervise and regulate educational institutions on a simplistic invocation of academic freedom by the schools. Academic freedom cannot derogate the state's constitutional authority to reasonably supervise and regulate schools. So what is this police power of the state that we are talking about? And I quote here, the first instance, or one of the very first instance that police power was defined. And this is the 1915 Supreme Court case. And maganda po yung sinabi dito kasi ito yung definition ng police power na akma dito sa nangyayari. Ang sinabi dito ng Supreme Court, the police power of the state is the power to provide for the general welfare of the people, and it authorizes it to prescribe all such regulations as in its judgment will secure or tend to secure them from against the consequences of ignorance and incapacity as well as of deception and fraud. So meaning to say, one of the state's tools to counter deception na nangyayari po dito sa radicalization and sa recruitment is police power. And so, we see here that academic freedom is not absolute, but it must give way to reasonable. But the operative word here is reasonable exercise of police power. On the issue po of red tagging, I'd like to manifest as a counsel of the government of the Republic of the Philippines that red tagging is a term invented by the CPP, NPA, NDF.
Correct.
And the purpose of this term that was invented by the CPP, NPA, NDF is to discredit, and I would say not only discredit, but also denigrate the legitimate efforts of the government to unmask the real identities of the members or even the affiliates of the CPP, NPA, NDF. Now, I'd like also to put it into record that there is no law or even an administrative regulation that punishes or defines red tagging. The nearest that we have is the recent case of De Duro versus Vinoya, a recent case that was promulgated by the Supreme Court concerning a petition for writ of amparo and I think habeas data also. But the thing with the De Duro case is that it is not doctrine. In fact, our position is that it is merely an obiter dictum, yung sinabi po nila doon about red tagging that can threaten an individual's right to life, liberty, security. Hindi po siya part ng ratio decidendi ng desisyon ng Korte Suprema, but only an obiter dictum because nung sinabi ho yun ng Korte Suprema sa kaso ng De Duro, hindi po nun dinispose ang merits ng petition. Meaning to say, it was merely an aside or yun nga po, an obiter dictum that was stated by the Supreme Court. So as far as we are concerned, it doesn't preclude the state from continuing its efforts to judiciously unmask. But the operative term here is to judiciously unmask, meaning to say that there's always a need for a basis, meaning to say hindi po talaga pwede yung haphazard na na labeling, because after all what the state really the state is really after for the truth to really and to protect, because at its core labeling or unmasking the identities of the members of the CPP, NPA, NDF is a defense mechanism of the state to really protect the youth from the unscrupulous activities of the enemy, which has been here in the Philippines wreaking havoc and destroying lives for more than 50 years. And as to the challenge to the prosecution, yun nga po, sir, the thing is, we are finding it hard to prescribe to address the issue of recruitment and radicalization because there is no penal law that squarely touches upon the issue of radicalization and recruitment in the context of higher educational institutions. So, ang kailangan po natin dito is laser-focused legislation, bullseye law that will really shoot the issue. Kasi ang mga lang po dito, ang mga, kumbaga, correlative or malalapit na provisions, Article 138 of RPC, yung inciting against rebellion or insurrection. And nasabi po ni General Ayuyaw kanina, Section 10 of the ATA. And for the record po, ito ho yung wording kasi, yung sinasabi niyang limitation kanina, ang wording po kasi ng current law, Section 10, recruitment to and membership in a terrorist organization. Any person who shall recruit another to participate in, join, commit, or support terrorism or a terrorist individual or any terrorist organization, association, or group of persons, ito po yung pumapasok na qualifying statement. Proscribed under Section 26 of the Act. Proscription is different po from designation. Or designated by the United Nations Security Council. Take note na ang ginamit po, designation by the UNSC and not by the ATC. Kaya ito po yung limitation na pinopoint out ni General Ayuyao. We do not see any problem in amending Section 10 of the ATA, although with a caveat, and we have this, and our division in the OSG has discussed this, kapag inamend po kasi ang Section 10 or ang any parts ng ATA, there's a danger na ma-open na naman po yung constitutionality ng law. And we do not want that because, well, on the part of the OSG, we valiantly defended the constitutionality of this law before the Supreme Court, and which goes to my last point, which is the legal remedy. You know, Senator, we are facing a radical problem here, and radical problems necessitate radical solutions. And as a form of legal remedy, your honorable committee can propose regulatory and or penal legislations. Yung sa regulatory, it may go into the accreditation or imposing the responsibility to school administrators to conduct even extraordinary diligence kung kaya in their accreditation of the organizations and in deciding whether or not to allow activities in the school grounds. Because as one of the manifestations or the testimonies earlier said, na meron po talagang mga activities na nakakalusot sa eyes ng ating mga school administrators. Also connivance with school administrations, because we do not know whether there are SUCs here where the administrators are conniving with members of the CPP, NPA, and NDF. And of course nga, yung mga dati pong nasabi na yung mga penal legislations on criminalization of radicalization and recruitment. So yun po, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney
Santos po.
Santos. Attorney Santos for that very valuable information. We need more lawyers like you diyan sa NTF-ILCAC. Sana matulungan tayo ng maraming kagaya mo. Ma'am, you're raising your hand.
Yes, again, good afternoon again, sir. Yeah, just to react a bit to what the solicitor was discussing earlier. First, kasi kami po, palagi kaming nagsasabi about academic freedom, so I felt it was right for me to react. We just want to make clear our position on behalf of UP, UPV in particular, and maybe UP in general, that although we very forcibly defend our right to academic freedom, of course we also understand that we have a corresponding responsibility to ensure that this freedom is not abused or used for unlawful activities or to commit crimes or to endanger the security and safety of everybody, especially our youth, our students. Ang hinihingi din namin lang din po, is sa part din ninyo ng gobyerno, unang-una po, yung sinasabing red tagging. We use the term for want of a better word. Kasi yun na pala ang most readily understood. So, ang red tagging, nagiging problema sa amin. Lalo na, to be frank, kunyari, again, I go back to my earlier example. If you, this children, well, I call them children, technically youth na lang, impressionable pa yan pag pumasok sa amin, di ba? So sometimes, if sila na-harass, sila na pagkitaan, nakakita ng hindi maganda rin na ginagawa sa kanila dahil lang identified sila na taga-UP, syempre po, magiging iba yung tingin nila sa military, sa persons in authority. So yun din nakakadagdag, di ba, sa kanilang discontent sa gobyerno or sa kanilang maybe foster some sort of hatred kung may talagang hindi sila magandang nakaranasan. Kasi yung red tagging din po, hindi lang din yon ginagawa ng military. nagiging biktima din po yung mga estudyante namin. Like for example, if they go to the communities, to the rural areas, tapos na-identify nila sila ng community members, mga taga-UP yan, komunista yan. So kawawa naman po, community service lang ng yung mga nanay kasi ako, yung mga students namin. So na-endanger sila. Yun lang po ang concern din namin. At syempre, ang isang din concern namin as to the legal remedies that are being considered, medyo delikado din po yun if you are to penalize our students or those people who are being, sabihin na natin, being radicalized, if you want to call it that. Kasi ang pinapunish mo dyan yung pag-iisip na ng tao eh. And, di ba, parang hindi naman maganda na ipapunish mong tao sa kanyang iniisip. How can you even prove kung anong iniisip niya? Yung inano namin kanina, like for example, iniisip ko, I want to kill myself. How are you going to determine talaga that I will do that? Diba? So maybe if there are overt acts, if there are crimes committed, then maybe magagaling naman yung ating law enforcement agencies. Those are the times that you can act on it. But otherwise, if they are just going to hold these ideals, these principles, as long as siguro walang ginagawang krimen, mahirap din naman po na ang kanilang karapatang pangtao ma-affect or maaapakan dahil lang yun sa kanilang iniisip. Yun lang po ang atin. And then lastly na lang po, kasi as bilang magulang din, napapansin ko din po na ang root cause din ng maraming pagsasali sa mga terorista or yung mga grupo na laban sa gobyerno is siguro some sort of discontent.
Hindi mo masabi si PPNPA? Hindi ko masabi.
Kasi may general
term. Very clear yun, si PPNPA yun, yung kalaban natin.
Kung yun ang gusto nyo sabihin po. Sige po. Pero yun, kasi some sort of discontent, maybe sa kanilang sarili, sa nangyayari sa kanilang mundo. So, sana po bilang magulang din, yun ang hinuhope ko. Kasi ang sakit-sakit kung makakaranas ng mga ganyang experience sa mga parents natin dito ngayon. Pero there are certain instances kasi if your children cannot forever be, under your wing. You cannot forever control them. So maybe we can just equip them with whatever strength and then build their strength of character. But then eventually, siguro ang analogy na pinag-usapan din namin kanina is kung nag-elope yung anak mo sa ayaw mong masalihan or sumali ng kulto na ganun, it's so tragic and it's so sad. But then sometimes we can only do so much as on our part as SUCs, as institutions of higher learning. So siguro we're hoping that the government can provide the assistance that the communities need, like education, healthcare, para naman mababawasan tong discontent natin sa gobyerno. Salamat po.
Well noted lahat ng mga punto, ma'am. Alam ko yung concern mo sa kabataan. At rest assured that this government will do everything para sa kabutihan ng lahat. Huwag po kayo mag-alala. Yung mga CPP, NPA, INDEP na yan, may hangganan rin yan kanilang pag-aabuso. May hangganan rin yan. Hindi yan walang forever sa mundo na ito. Walang forever. As I have said. So yun lang. Maraming salamat, ma'am. Thank you very much sa lahat ng mga dumalo. Sa inyong lahat, kayong mga former rebels, alam ko you are endangering yourself with what you are doing right now. But kung hindi nyo gawin yan, sino pang gagawa ng ganyan? I consider you as my hero. Kayo ang mga heroes ko. Napakatapang ninyo, lumaban. Maraming salamat sa inyo. And sana, andito pa kayo sa next hearing. Next hearing, Chairman, saka itong ating mga from higher educational institution, ma'am. Although, medyo, of course, merong mga, mas maganda ngayon, merong class of ideas, di ba? We have to agree to disagree, and disagree to agree. Kailangan natin yan all the time. So maraming salamat again. Nagre-ring na at malilate na ako doon sa session namin. Thank you very much.